everybody. Just thinking about you before class started about one of my early practicum experiences when I was working on my doctorate, where I was dealing with a guy who had just finished his career. He was one of I think he was my first clinical client. And he finished his career, nice guy. He's passed away now. I went to his funeral many years ago. And he was working, he decided to become a missionary. And so that was what we were working at, was that whole transition. And of course, I wanted to understand the character pieces. But I'll never forget how I saw him many years later, and I said, you know, I want to apologize for being your practicum therapist. And he said, you were okay, and you know, I kind of handled the other stuff. He gave me so much grace, and he said I did okay. I'm so glad he didn't end up in a, you know, like a psych hospital somewhere. But that's what we want to talk about today as you're in your practicum, is how do you deal with disappointing results? Because if the client doesn't get better and decides to not see you again, or a session goes poorly, you got to be able to deal with that. So I want to just help you with that, because let's call that a normal. We're going to normalize this. This is the way it is. So here's just some things that I've learned that I think hopefully can help you. First off, let's go back to the definition of the word practicum. Kind of a Latin sounding word, right? Practicum is a supervised training experience so that you can have practical application of a course of study. A supervised training, so supervised meaning somebody smart and competent is going to be watching you, mentoring you, holding your hand, kicking your butt, to experience the practical application of a course of study, because you've been doing theory and Bible stuff and neuro stuff and me blabbing on and your professor doing their thing. And now you're out there and there's a real client there. And so how can you, I mean, all the words there, I want you to remember the word training, a supervised training setting. Training, training, training. What does training mean? It requires error. You can't train in sports, you can't train in cooking, you can't train in parenting without error. So if you're not making errors and things aren't going poorly, you don't want somebody to, like, you know, blow up and totally, you know, lose hope for life because of you. But still, it requires error. And if you don't have any error, something's going wrong. Oh gosh, I'm getting flooded with all these memories of the things that I did wrong. One time I had done an all-nighter for my dissertation, and I showed up at my practicum and I was so sleepy, and I was drinking 14 cups of coffee because I'd written all night to get that dumb dissertation in, finished it at 8, and then I saw her at 9. And so I was trying to stay awake, and I remember she was a nice person, and at one point she goes, I think my issue is I'm just sort of boring. I remember thinking, I know where that came from. And I said, did I just go to sleep? She goes, yeah, because I'm boring. And I went, oh my gosh, and I had to repair the error, but it's going to happen, right? I hope she's out there with a good life because of all that. So remember your range of therapeutic responses. There's a range kind of with 3 spaces to it that I want you to be aware of. There's no concern. If I make an error, or if the person blows up, or they terminate therapy, they don't want to come back, they say bad things about me. If you're not concerned at all, something's wrong with you. You don't have feelings, and it means that something in you is so disconnected from yourself, or you're so much narcissism, you're kind of like, oh, no big deal. It's a big deal. But on the other side is the catastrophic, you know, self-judgment issue where, gosh, it's my fault and everything's my fault and I'll never make it. And most of the time, with 90-some% of clinicians that I've ever worked with or trained or employed, in the middle there is, I got to grow here. You know, I'm concerned, I care, I don't want that person to have a bad experience from me. What did I learn from that? So watch out for the no concern. And the no concern is also to blame the victim. Man, I hate that in supervision when somebody says, well, they're a difficult patient. That's what they're paying for. They're difficult. That's why their marriage is bad and they don't make good decisions. Don't blame the victim. That's our job. So blame us. All the way to, I'll never make it. Okay, what can I learn from that? I want to pay attention to that. Here's another thing that really helped me, and still helps me. Write down what you learned and look at what are called the therapeutic error patterns. The therapeutic error patterns. When you're training as a therapist, you make errors. You don't make random errors. There's always something having to do with some themes you can find out. And I just thought, I'll give you kind of like the top themes of therapeutic error patterns, so you can go, yeah, I'm kind of vulnerable to these few. It'll really save you a lot of time. A fear of closeness. You know, some therapists are really good at sitting back and interpreting things and giving wisdom, but the vulnerable part's scary for them. So sometimes the client doesn't feel like they're really engaged. A fear of confrontation, that's the other extreme with therapists. It's really in there with them and really attunes to them and really gets deep. But they don't pull back and say, you know, you were really unkind to your spouse right then, and I think we need to talk about that. And that's a theme. It's kind of the codependent rescuer therapist who enables and regresses. Another one's our old buddy fragilizing. Well, we've talked about fragilizing a lot, haven't we? Where you make someone more brittle and breakable than they actually are because you're projecting your own fragility that you haven't dealt with in your therapy onto them. So you walk on eggshells around them and you worry they're going to be okay and you think about them all week. Well, I think about my clients a lot. I care about them, but I still have a life. So watch out for the fragilizing. Here's another one, intellectualizing. Intellectualizing. You know, we're Christian therapists, so we're people of the book, right? We believe in the book and we believe in research. So a lot of times we fall in love with our principles and we just have these theories and expound on things. You know, intellectualism never really cured anybody. The Bible says it's always grace, truth, and time. So watch out for only truth. You got to have the grace part and the time part. You got to give them the experience. Here's another one, teaching. You know, here's 14 principles about X, Y, Z. Well, if you're always teaching, then you ought to be a teacher. Don't be a shrink. A shrink does the healing, does the experience, does the emotions. Teaching is a percentage of what we do, but a small percentage of what we do. It has more to do with an experience and a relationship. Here's another one, talking about yourself. Well, let me tell you my story because I hope my story helps you. Well, you know my rule on that. If you want to identify with them so they don't feel like they're weird, talk about yourself to a maximum of 1 minute and don't do it that often. Don't go into 15 minutes of your mind comp. It makes them mirror you. They start taking care of you. It switches the relationship, 1 minute maximum. And not thinking diagnostically. Remember, you're the clinician. You're in charge. So every session I ever have, I think, how is this affecting their detachment from themselves? How's what we're doing affecting the fact that they're not differentiated and they blur into other people, they don't have boundaries? How's what I'm doing dealing with the fact that they cannot take negative realities because they shame themselves so much? How's what they're doing helping them to not feel like a little dumb kid, but to feel like an equal and mutual person? Keep diagnostics, character diagnostics in your head. I'm telling you, that's where the career is because very few people are doing it, but you are. All right, so I hope the practicum is going well.